Welcome to Power Up Your Practice, the go-to podcast for law firm owners and managing attorneys working on the business, not in it. I'm Ruby Powers, your guide into the heart of law practice management, bringing your insights from leading legal minds, trailblazing attorneys, and expert guests who provide practical perspectives on running your firm more effectively and efficiently. And before we dive in, I'm thrilled to announce that my latest book, Power Up Your Practice, is out and available on Amazon. It's packed with actionable advice for growing a successful law firm. Be sure to grab your copy today. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive tips and resources. And if you're enjoying this podcast, we love your reviews. They help us reach more attorneys like you who are striving to build the practice of their dreams. Prepare to open your mind, be inspired, and power up your practice to the next level. Hey everyone, this is Ruby Powers with Power Up Your Practice. I am, for those listening, not watching the insanity, I have a candle burning in my hands with the number 1 because this is the anniversary episode of the Power Up Your Practice book. I can't believe it's turned 1. Yes, yay! And I also have balloons. Woo! Okay, enough wax and fire. We're going to put that one away. All right. Well, this is a special episode because not only is it the 1-year anniversary or birthday of the book, but it's also I'm going to be on the podcast by myself without a guest. We've considered doing that, but we haven't done that. And here we are. We're going to do it. So we're going to do a little recap of the book and just its journey and where we are today, alongside with the podcast and just sort of what it's meant to the creation of the book and where we are a year later. So thanks so much for listening. And if you don't already know, you probably do. The book is available on Amazon. And okay, enough melting wax is done here. Okay, ouch. Uh, it seemed like a better idea in principle. I'll try to get the wax off. Okay. So I just want to thank you, all my listeners and the podcast and all those who bought the book and or who've been supportive of the book, who've written a review, who've given me advice, suggestions, feedback. I mean, so many people have been a part of this journey, helped me with editing, helped me reviewing it, and helped support me along the way. We're going to go ahead and call September 28th, the 2024. It's the birthday of the book because that's the publication day on Amazon. But you know, the idea of it came along a long time before. When I wrote my first book, Build and Manage, I was thinking, how can I help people not reinvent the wheel? And I was focused more towards immigration attorneys. And then the pandemic happened and more remote business became the norm. I also bought a building for my law firm in 2023 and looked closer at a partnership track and succession planning. So I rewrote my first book into what's now Power Up Your Practice and added 5 chapters. So it's actually a different book. Sometimes people get or don't know, they think it's just an update, but it's not. It's actually another book with 5 new chapters that were not even in the my first book that I wrote. And so 25 chapters total. And just wanted to say thank you to everyone who was part of that journey. But basically, the reason why I did it was I wanted to help people not have to reinvent the wheel and have to go through the same things that I had. Now my firm is going to be 16 this year, so my firm can drive, and here the Power Up Your Practice is just a little toddler with a smash cake or an imaginary smash cake, right? So, let's look at the book again. There's 3 sections. I was really having read so much. I mean, my family makes fun of me for all the business books that I read, but the way I looked at it was that we had the 3 sections. The first one was a path to success, a lot of the theory behind it, how to look at things in how the paradigms, the mindsets, and the business aspect. And then the second one was like just putting it into action, having the execution. Because, if you just have all these ideas, but you don't do anything, you don't put it in motion, then did anything ever happen, really? And so that's, a test of success. And then the third part, so wherever your journey was, is preparing for the future and beyond. And that one had a lot about your building out your personal and professional goals, from like committees and just sort of where you want to set yourself apart to strategic side hustles. I love the word side hustle, just words. It sounds like so much fun, but I mean like synergistic businesses, which sounds more professional, and partnership track and succession planning and buying and building. And so that is how I ended up breaking down the book into those three parts. So anyone, whether you are a law student, you just started your practice, you had your practice for 5 years, or even if you've had it for 16 years, like myself, I think you still, or 20 or more, 30, I think you could still benefit from it because what happens when people have had their business a long time is that they can get stuck in their ways very easily. They can have a gap in their overall view, and they've been doing a lot of the same thing over and over again. And in my situation, I've been able to talk to so many people through consulting, through conferences, through reading and writing, and that's what's helped me add so much value to the book. So that's the reason why I broke it down into that. One of my favorite chapters is chapter two, and I might have to write a book about that chapter one day. But that one's the principles, paradigms, and mindsets shaping the path for success. And I was so hard to choose my favorite. I ended up choosing 16 guiding principles and paradigms and habits listed on page 23. Everything from the Eisenhower matrix, the law of attraction to identifying self limiting beliefs, goals, and manifesting, time management, the growth versus fixed mindset, like Carol Dweck, E Myth, getting things done, like under David Allen, and how to approach change, influence the psychology of persuasion, the importance of having your success support network, the big rocks idea under Stephen Covey, and then the idea of Kaizen, of the Japanese idea of constantly improving. And then there's some other ones in there too. But anyway, that's one of my favorite chapters, actually. A lot of fun making it. And I was like, this is like a book within itself. So, what the inspiration, I don't know if people have heard of writing my very first book that sort of got me on this journey, was just that I had written so many articles. I was a part of the American Immigration Lawyers Association Law Practice Management Committee for 4 years, and it just became norm to write articles about law practice management. And so then when I realized I had so many articles, like I could turn this into a book. And so, like I mentioned, I wrote one book and then later wrote a completely new book with new chapters and expanding on ideas that I wanted to go into more detail from my first book. And then what's also happening at this moment is that since, had been going along the same lines, but some of this is new, is that now I'm a columnist with Above the Law. I'm also a columnist with the ABA's Law Practice magazine. Every other month, I'm writing a column on different topics related to law practice management. And I'm also regularly writing for the Texas Bar Journal on law practice management topics. So that's continuously helping me create content, but also through all the speeches and the conferences that I'm going to. So when I was actually writing the book, what happened was I made an outline, and I mean I could find some of the old papers I had because it wasn't that. I started writing this book 2 years ago, and I was moving around. I remember I was actually in a pool in Costa Rica, and I was trying to put the order together. I had put my kids in Spanish camp, and I was like, this is my time to immerse myself and start focusing. And they'd be in camp during the first half of the day, and I would be focusing on the book. And that's when I started seeing, like, what do people need to know? And I think the idea behind this is that no matter whether or not you've had it, you've just started, you're going to start, or you're going to have you've had it for a long time. I want people to know that this book can be a benefit, all of them. And one of the things that inspired me that for my practice was How to Start and Build a Law Practice by Jay Thunberg. And my idea was take that inspiration and everything that I had learned and put it in Power Up Your Practice. And so that's what I did. So I would write chapters. I would go in order, but I dumped a lot of things in Google Docs of my ideas and then start giving it shape. I had a team that was helping me review and help expand on some of the ideas and pull in my prior articles. And so that was really great. And plus, I had an editor. Um, my challenges and surprises during the way were just like I think my legs started hurting and my eyes started getting worse because I was like I'm not wearing my glasses right now, but I was just working so much and I ended up having to start. I don't know if I want to share this. Like I had to start. I had finishing it in bed because I put myself in like 0G, and it was able to help my legs because I guess I was just sitting so much because I would start my day working on the book, and then I would go work on the law firm, and then I would go back to the book, and so I had to walk a lot. I had to work out a lot, or else it just was not good for my body. So I mean, it might not it that happened. That happened, and I also had to get glasses because I was like, I don't think this is working out. I'm not able to see it as easily. So there were some struggles besides the late night, and I also saw that I wanted it to be done as soon as I could so that I could I was missing out on family time. I was trying to run the law firm and work on the book. I mean, if you question, some people ask me like, how did you do it? I mean, it was a lot of sacrifice, basically, of working, double shifts. And I was really glad when I was able to turn it in and be more down to the editing phase. But I mean, I'm glad I did it. It sort of reminds me of having a baby, like you wouldn't have it in any other way, but you're glad when you're done. And are you finding yourself overwhelmed with handling phone calls and spending endless hours on consultations that just don't qualify? Well, let me introduce you to Staffy Live, your ultimate solution for 24/7 live receptionist and intake services tailored specifically for law firms. Now, picture this: empathetic, truly bilingual specialists who understand the intricacies of client care and are experts at asking all the right questions to qualifying callers efficiently. Now that with Staffy Live, you'll feel like you have a trusted partner by your side, ensuring only qualified consultations make it on your calendar and providing valuable follow-ups when needed. As someone who's been using Staffy Live for my own law firm, I couldn't be happier. And I guess what Staffy Live is now offering, a generous 15-day free trial with no strings attached. You can head over to staffy.cc. That's stafi.cc and click Get Started. And don't forget to use the code RUBY, RUBY. Your future self will thank you. So let's see. I'm really grateful for all the feedback that we've been getting from emails or reviews or comments when I'm at conferences and or LinkedIn, saying I'm reading it. I'm so grateful. I have it on my desk. I really appreciate that. We're really any posts, reviews on Amazon, any LinkedIn, social media, email, any feedback, even what our guests say on the podcast, that really helps us get more reach and help let other people know about the book. And those stories really, help fuel the effort of getting the word out about the book and be able to spread the message. And I mean, the whole concept is to power up your practice to create the law firm and the life you deserve. Like that's on purpose because we know that running a law firm, there's so much responsibility, and to be able to craft that so that you make enough money that you want, you have enough, you work the amount of time that you want, you still have your personal time, your time with your friends, your family, and to accomplish your goals, and maybe reevaluate your goals to see what you really want to accomplish and when you want to stop being so involved with the firm or your exit strategy. So those are all things that are part of this book. And so if you listening want to share any other story, would love to post that on social media, just love, or even keep it private, would love to hear from you, and also getting reviews for the podcast and for the book. The reason why we made the podcast was because I know that not everybody reads, and hey, this book, it looks intimidating. I get it. I'm sorry. I know it's like 713 pages, and I mean, it's huge. When I try to travel with these, it takes up almost my whole carry-on. But the idea is like you can read it however you want to. You don't have to read it from the beginning to the end. It could be a resource book. You could open it and say that, just randomly, or you could look to the part that you need to work on and sort of reflect. I mean, some really good books, you just have to incrementally read them and have it be a really good resource. And so I want to give you permission to read it however you want to, but don't feel like you have to read it from the beginning to the end. Someone told me it's sort of like a Tim Ferriss book where you don't have to read it from the beginning to the end. And I'm like, okay, whatever, gets that point across, that's fine. Because I think as lawyers, we had to read a lot to become lawyers. And then sometimes we stop reading because we're sort of like done with that idea, but we need to keep learning. And so the book is here, but then we also have the school community SKOOL. They were continuously expanding. So check it out with Power Up Your Practice. But we also have courses coming out, rolling out, and you can take some complimentary, some paid ones, but it helps amplify the book. And also, the podcast is there to keep the conversation going on a regular basis. And I get to interview amazing people, law firm owners, managing attorneys, other vendors and experts, psychologists, tech enthusiast. And I mean, I've just enjoyed that. And just this will actually be, I believe, our 80th episode. So I'm really excited that we've had so many wonderful guests, and I'm thankful if you're listening and for being a guest. Thank you so much. And I'm constantly looking for great guests to add to the mix. Yeah, this is our 80th episode. So we're getting close to the 100. I'll have to get ready for who that guest or guest will be then. So we've gone through so much of this journey. I mean, my first book was written, published in 2019. Power Strategy Group. It was created in December 2020, which is the umbrella company for Power Up Your Practice, the book and the podcast. And we've been, just continually growing, and with the book being 1 year old this week on September 28th, 2025, our 1 year anniversary. So we're continuing out there. We'd love invitations to conferences or speaking webinars, CLEs, and if you can find a connection we could be a resource, please let us know. Also looking for other opportunities to be guests on podcasts or media to get the information out about Power Up Your Practice. And we really appreciate our connections with law students, law schools, librarians, and other colleagues and mentors out there. And we want to continue to be a resource. We've those courses for Power Up Your Practice that are inspired by the book are going to be continuously coming out on the school community. And we're going to have a lot more great content coming. And in 2026, we're looking forward to having some masterminds and retreats. We've got some dates set up for the summer 2026, and we're going to be announcing that later in the year. So that's going to be exciting. And I mean, if you didn't know, Power Strategy Group, we have one-on-one consulting for law practice management, in addition to the book as a resource and courses, and soon to come masterminds and retreats. So I just wanted to say thank you for being there, for listening to the podcast. If you haven't gotten a copy of the book, you can check it out on Amazon. And we, continually adding reviews, and love that feedback, any suggestions you have. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, because it's been a journey. It's been a lot of work, but I know that it's all been worth it. I know that it's made an impact in people's lives, and I know how hard it is to be an entrepreneur, with two businesses that I'm running, and to be an attorney with constant change, the responsibility of running, representing your clients, and everything that goes involved that's involved in having a family and taking care of yourself. There's a lot of demands on our time. And I think that there's a lot of best practices and proven strategies out there. And that's what I put in the book. There's a lot of summary of other books and things, but I think a lot of times what a lot of the great information out there has already been written, but it's how it gets conveyed to the audience, that whether it resonates or not. And so between the book, between the podcast, the course, and the future masterminds and retreats, that's what we're trying to do, to get this information out, so that it clicks, and that it can help you better create the law firm and the life that you deserve. So thanks so much for listening. Happy birthday to Power Up Your Practice. Let's see, I don't know, a book can't blow out a candle, and I've already got the wax all over the place. But anyway, for a photo, yay, happy birthday, Power Up Your Practice. And thank you, genuinely thank you. And if you see me at a conference or somewhere, or you're on LinkedIn, you heard this episode, just let me know how, if you've read the book, what you think, how we can continue to serve the community in law practice management, other topics we could have on the podcast that we could write about in these columns and articles and in courses. And we'd love to continue to be a resource for you. So thanks so much for watching, listening, and we'll see you next time. Happy birthday, Power Up Your Practice. Thank you for tuning in to the Power Up Your Practice Law Practice Management Podcast. I'm your host, Ruby Powers, and it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave us a review, tell someone else about us, and we'd love to get this podcast shared with others to reach more listeners like you. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive content, tips, and updates straight to your inbox. And exciting news, our book, The Power Up Your Practice, is out and available on Amazon. It's packed with strategies, 25 chapters, to help you elevate your practice and achieve your goals. So join us next week as we dive into more advice and insight on law practice management. We'll see you next time.